Happy summer.
It's here.
Welcome to the living room.
Our kids are out of school and summer has begun in earnest.
So we're actually going to discuss about 2 weeks worth of stuff because end of school is a lot.
A lot of activities.
And we may have missed a week of the living room.
Yeah.
So we're gonna combine and talk about it.
Yeah, so it was a good week.
Good
said,
2 weeks.
a good pair of weeks. Like we said, we had a lot of events for our kids' stuff. We got to go to awards days and musicals and the end of the year stuff.
Yeah, choir things and meetings for next year stuff.
Yeah. Cram them in before the end of school.
Things you wrap up 1 week and look forward to, or start looking forward to
Next year
already. Whoa. Our niece also graduated from high school.
So the oldest cousin of my two brothers, we have a lot of kids amongst us, and the oldest of the cousins, Faith, our oldest niece, she graduated and was valedictorian of her class of.
She's very smart.
420 something
The
graduates.
largest class,
To
graduating
graduate.
class so far from Clinton.
Yeah.
So way to go, Faith.
Yeah,
We're super
of
proud.
her. Yeah, super.
And now we are Mississippi State fans. That's
Yeah.
where she's going to college. So go Dogs.
Yes. DAWGS.
That's Mississippi State is where Scott's parents went to college.
Yes. And so I grew up sort of supporting them because I didn't have a choice. But now we have another reason to. So
Yeah, I'm neither State, Ole Miss, or anything really.
yeah,
I'm not a fan, but I'm not a.
not obnoxious either.
Oh yeah, I'm just like neutral on all the teams. Okay, so work-wise, what do we do?
Well, we've had several buyers that we're working with, and so we've shown a lot of houses, and especially for one that is out of state, we are going and getting videos of houses for him and sending them to him, and so that he can see them, and then that he has further interest from them, then he'll make the 7-hour drive down to see them, which is, good on him. He drove down and back in one day, which was more than I would want to do.
Yeah, I feel like we've looked at a lot of houses recently.
Yes, we have.
I mean, that's part of the job, but there's a lot of buyers.
Yeah.
People buying, which is great. That's what we want to happen. So we've looked at all kinds of different houses. I feel like
Townhomes, single-family homes, some homes.
older homes, newer homes.
Yeah, homes like over in Jackson in some older neighborhoods that were like 100 year almost
1939.
almost yeah, so 80 something year old house.
in Fondren.
And then some over here that are built in the 1980s.
In the 1900s.
Yes.
And then some new construction homes too. The out of town people looked at. So we've been all over the place.
Yeah.
We have one under contract though.
Yeah, a buyer. We found them a house that was actually not listed. It was a for sale by owner, and so we worked with them to get that under contract and got through the inspection process, and so that one's looking good too.
And then one that was under contract
It's no
is
longer.
no longer under contract.
Yeah, so one of our listings, it's actually a great listing, great house in great shape. The buyer did go through with the inspection, and then it's one of those situations where they use the inspection as the excuse for terminating, but they didn't identify any single thing or even ask for any repairs.
Yeah, it's interesting. So most of the time, you put an offer on a house. There's some negotiating, go back and forth. Usually, I mean, sometimes there's not, but usually there's some back and forth. Get it under contract. Then the next step is the inspection.
Yeah.
And most times, we've had it happen maybe a couple of times where the inspection happens and then one side, the buyer just says, nope, I'm out. Which is so interesting because it's like you wanted the house enough to make an offer on it, get it under contract, and then it's almost like they don't understand that that next part is also a negotiation.
Yeah, and I think that's two things happen. One, a buyer, it's a first-time home buyer, they can get cold feet and just kind of freak out. We know this was at the top of this buyer's price range. She could not go any higher, and so that may have stressed her out. There really wasn't anything on the inspection that was a major concern. Like as far as I can't speak for her, but from what I know about home inspections, it was very vanilla, and so I don't think it was that. And what I'm not going to speak ill of another agent either, but I think there's we have to set expectations for our buyers. This is what's going to happen. We're going to see things on the report. We're going to ask for those things that bother us to be fixed. That's just a conversation you have ahead of time. And so I feel like, and I think that's probably a conversation that happened, but I just think the buyer has gotten cold feet and wants to maybe look elsewhere. And I mean, good luck to that agent with that buyer, because you just know it's going to be a long road.
And then work started at one of our rental houses that we're going to show you some footage of right now.
B-roll.
B-roll. And so we're excited to have that. It should be a pretty short time frame to get that wrapped up.
Yeah, at least short enough on the inside stuff that we can get that wrapped up and hopefully get a new tenant in there fairly soon. We'll do some stuff that if we need to, the tenant, we can already have some other like windows and things. Landscaping. So but our contractor jumped on that quickly, and we went over there and checked it out yesterday. And
looks good. Mm-hmm. Speaking of investment things, I have a question for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Scott bought this pointer, or a pack of pointers.
5 of them.
5 of them.
We've already broken one.
And we're going to try to find a way to incorporate it. I wasn't doing it underwriting. Into some videos, so be on the lookout for the pointer. Okay, I have a question for you though.
Okay, here we go. The unprepared question.
That's right, he doesn't know what I'm about to ask. So
do you know what you're going to ask?
I do know what I'm about to ask. So we were just talking about one of our investment properties, and what the question is, drum roll please. What would you tell someone who is interested in getting into the investment property world?
I would say
one thing
is you make your money when you buy it. And that means that you can't dig yourself out of a hole if you buy it wrong. And what I mean by buy it wrong is pay too much for the house. And so you have to buy it right in a way that it's going to appreciate over time, and you can get the rent that you need to pay your note and hopefully make some money on top of that. There's multiple ways to make money in investments. That's the appreciation of the house, and the most immediate way is the cash flow you get from a tenant.
So you're talking about, when I say investment properties, you're answering the question from a hold it standpoint.
Not necessarily. It could be a flip also,
okay.
because if you pay too much for one you intend to flip and there's no margin there, once you spend the money on renovating it, again, you could lose money or break even. So
flip or hold.
You make your money when you buy it.
Make your money when you buy it. Mm-hmm. And is there, I have a piece of advice that I would like to offer.
Well, let me ask you the question.
Okay. But I want to come back to something you were talking about.
Okay. So if you're advising somebody who wants to get into investing in properties, whether it's flips or holds, what would you advise?
Don't wait.
Yeah.
Do not wait. We have said so many times we wish that we would have gotten into investment opportunities a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Because something that Scott just said, what happens to home prices?
The average appreciation across the board over 50 years is like 3% a year.
Yeah, so they go up.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not going to get cheaper to buy any type of property. And so
not one you want.
And not one you want. But I do wish that we had a plan in place sooner. I wish that had been on our radar. So I would say to anybody who's thinking about it, don't wait. Find out what you can afford, what type of investor you want to be, a hold, a flip. people do investments in all sorts of different ways, but I would say don't wait.
And I would say too, depending on where you are in your stage of life, there are different opportunities available to you. If you're a single,
And where you live.
yes, if you're a single person or young married, and maybe even possibly have a family, there's opportunities for you to buy a duplex and live in one side of it, so you get a owner occupant loan, which is less expensive, and then rent out the other side and have that tenant basically pay your mortgage for you. It's called house hacking. Sorry, I know it's steal your thunder there, but it's an opportunity to get into investing and also home ownership at the same time. And then at some point you outgrow that and you are able to move on to your next property and then rent out both sides of that, and it's making money.
Making money. So what is there's a number for investment properties for holding them that you want to take into account?
Generally speaking, most people of investors try to, at a minimum, try to abide by the 1% rule, which means that your rent, what you're going to charge, is 1% of the property price that you pay for it. Now, there's different variables that play into that, what kind of loan you get, all of those things. But basically, if you're paying $200,000 for an investment property, you want to get a $2,000 monthly rent for it.
So it's important to know what the area you're buying in, what type of rent you can get.
Yeah, and that's when I say that you make your money when you buy it, that's what you have to take into account. Among many other factors, but at a very basic level, you have to take in that am I going to make money on this day one?
Yeah. So make your money on the front end. You make your money on the front end. It's got to be a wise.
Yeah.
This
If you're trying to
wise
play a
purchase.
long game eventually this is going to make money, that's going to eat you alive.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have a lot of reserves in order for that to happen.
So you make your money on the front end.
Yeah.
And act sooner rather than later.
I have a 1B. if you
Oh,
will.
okay, a 1B.
And what we found to be very important is, especially, this is only relevant for thing you intend to hold for a rental, is you have to do significant due diligence on your tenant selection. We've been very fortunate in that. We've set a like almost impossibly high standard for our tenants to meet, and as a result, we've had fantastic tenants. Take care of the property, always pay on time. Let us know if there's an issue immediately, so it doesn't cause further problems down the line. And for us, that's been awesome.
Okay, so now we have 3 things. In summary, choose wisely. You make your money on the front end. That's 1A. 1B,
Tenant selection is crucial.
tenant selection is crucial. And number 3, act now.
Let's do it.
Let's go. We love to help investors, so
Maybe you just want to talk about it.
yeah. Find out all the ins and outs. And if we don't know the answers, we know a lot of people
And there's
do.
a lot of different ways to invest in property, and there's all kinds of creative ways too. And so if you're like, this doesn't fit what exactly I want to do, we know there's other ways to do it as well.
So, act now.
It sounds like an infomercial.
I know,
Yes,
act now. Call the number below.
I'm actually going to put our number there. but-
Text the number below. All right,
See you
that's
next
it.
time.
Bye.
Bye.